You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NACS. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
Human trafficking happens every day and affects every community across the country. But more than 30,000 convenience stores across the country have taken on this issue in their stores. Because January is National Human Trafficking Prevention Month, we thought it was an ideal time to share what our industry is already doing and how you can get involved and why it matters to your community and your business. Joining us today to have this conversation is the executive director of In Our Backyard, which one of their organization groups is Convenience Stores Against Trafficking. Please welcome Cheryl Csiky. Thanks for joining us today, Cheryl.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here today, Jeff.
So can you just give us an overview of human trafficking? I think for those who don't know about it or may have preconceived notions, what exactly is trafficking before we dive into how convenience stores are playing a very active role in addressing it?
I think when we look at it, it comes down to a bottom line of someone who doesn't have control of how they work or how they live. That's the simplest form, to really break it down. Yes, there's coercion. Yes, there's fraud involved, right? There can be threats towards their lives, even psychological threats and control factors. But if you're not in control of how you work and how you live, you're not free. And that's what it comes down to.
And when you talk to some people about human trafficking, the perception may be, well, not in my backyard, to pardon the expression. That doesn't happen to folks in our neighborhood or something like that. But when you look at trafficking, and I can't remember if it was a meeting with your group or another group, but somebody just said, okay, name a teenager who lacks self-confidence, name a teenager who has a cell phone and is in contact with people that they can't verify are actually those people. And it's like, you named somebody that's potentially somebody that could be involved in this. So I think it's important to stress that this is something that can happen anywhere, and it does happen anywhere.
It does happen anywhere. It's not happening in a far off country only, or, if we see superheroes like Liam Neeson in the movie Taken, those situations happen. But we really need the public to become aware and say, it can be happening in plain sight, especially with online. Our kids are dealing with a huge vulnerability to technology. It is really tough to help protect children because every child is vulnerable. They're not equipped to understand the capacity a trafficker might have. It starts out as a friendship or a listening ear, right? They're going to use tactics very similar to an abuser to become.
No one understands you except for me.
Yeah. And, parents have a hard time with certain ages connecting with kids, and traffickers know that and exploit that. But there's vulnerability in adults too. It could be a living situation. Maybe you don't have a current income happening, and you're offered an amazing job, and we see money comes first. This isn't something where it's severely transactional in the beginning. There's a huge trust value gained. Traffickers know how to do that. They have systems in place. But we do see also, yes, you can be violently trafficked within 24 hours, and it can be a long process where it can be a year and a half of a relationship before that other side, the other foot drops, and you're isolated. You are feeling like you're in trouble, so you don't want to report maybe to law enforcement. The fear a trafficking victim has is life and death. And, that's where it comes to someone reporting something when they see something that really changes the situation, or a survivor sees a resource that they can grab onto that they feel safe enough to reach out and ask for help.
In the weekly intro to Convenience Matters, one of the things that we talk about is half of the country goes to a convenience store every day. So when we first aligned with In Our Backyard and Convenience Stores Against Trafficking, it was along the lines of convenience stores can be eyes and ears in the community. Half of the country comes to a store every day. And that means people that may not be the most positive pillars of the community come in there. And convenience stores can play a role in spotting what could appear to be irregular behavior. They also, and this is where I think in particular Convenience Stores Against Trafficking fits in, they can tell people who are being trafficked that there is a solution. And I first noticed it at a store in Bend, Oregon. Kent Couch has one store in Bend, Oregon. And if you've never heard of Kent Couch, Google him. He's in the Guinness World Record book. He has amazing stores, and was checking out his store. And he also has something like 40 beers on tap. So again, there's more to check out there. But I went to the bathroom, and there was a sticker on the bathroom window that said, if you need help, here's the number. And I talked to Kent about it. I said, I'd never heard of that. Can you tell me more about that? And he says, yeah, it's to raise awareness so that those who are in situations they want to get out of can find a way to do that. And turns out that they're called freedom stickers. And there's a lot more to that. And he says, I know they're working because I've had to replace them because I've gone in the bathroom and the numbers etched out or scratched out. So it was really obvious to him that these stickers were being seen by traffickers, and if they're being seen by traffickers, they're being seen by people that could possibly be helped. Can you tell us about these freedom stickers, and let's talk about how convenience stores can help address this issue, especially being National Human Trafficking Prevention Month?
Yeah, I've been in the fight for a while, and the two things that I think bring the most hope are freedom stickers and convenience stores. I will be a cheerleader forever on this strategy because it works. But freedom stickers have the National Human Trafficking Resource Hotline. So as we kind of explained, I myself have a trafficking exploitation story from when I was a child. The first thing and the only thing that really is important that I think the public understands is I was made to believe I was part of the problem, right? I was told if I told I'd be in trouble with law enforcement, I'd be, separated from my family. So there is a fear of sometimes reaching out to 911, because I know a lot of people will say, I can't imagine if this was happening to me. Why aren't you just calling 911? This is an oppression of everything you've ever encountered in your world. It's a little different. So there is a national hotline with resources. The freedom sticker posts that hotline. So across America, no matter what, it's going to be that same hotline. So if someone in need crosses a restroom and sees this number, it does build a little trust that no matter where they might end up in a public restroom, convenience store, gas station, elsewhere, they're going to see this phone number stay the same and start to build that trust of maybe they know when they should call and talk to someone to help figure out a way to get them out of that situation. Law enforcement is involved once a survivor victim is ready. We want to stay victim centered. The first time, I think of the first time I met convenience stores in this work. I was actually at the Super Bowl serving within our backyard. This will be our 14th year surrounding Super Bowl, raising awareness and, having people post these freedom stickers really in any public restroom. But convenience stores have really made the difference. And we actually have a little more to that strategy where we're working on intelligence, helping law enforcement understand any situation of trafficking to report and arrest. So I'm in this, awesome command center. And I realize some of our team just came from an event where they talked to volunteers to bring these freedom stickers into convenience stores. And my brain, at first I was shocked. I wasn't quite getting it. It was the middle of the afternoon on a Saturday. I come from fighting trafficking at 2 a.m. south side of Chicago and, approaching pretty dangerous situations as quietly as I can, right? To try to see if someone needs help. And it hit me. I said, I got to do this outreach. I got to see what this is about. And I went to 3 convenience stores that day, and immediately one convenience store staff recognized a missing child we were looking for that was at risk of being trafficked. And I thought, oh my gosh, like this is the way. Convenience store staff, they're there more than I could ever be volunteering one day a month. They know that the people that come in and out of the stores, you have a fantastic opportunity to not only feel that gut feeling of something's off, but really for us to help raise awareness and say, yes, you might feel something's off, but you probably never assumed there might be trafficking behind what you're feeling. And that's really like why I'm here, why I stand here and say, please see us, please see that person, please see that child. When you sense something's wrong, it's for a reason, and survivors and the public really can rely on convenience stores to make that difference.
And when you talk about the Super Bowl event, I've gone to a couple of these, and for listeners, we're not sitting in skyboxes watching the game. This is the week before the event, and it's in the host city, and the idea is to raise awareness around trafficking, because the Super Bowl nor these other big events don't create trafficking, but they can be a place where traffickers are able to ply their wares or find new victims. And so the big part that has always impressed me about your work in our backyard and Convenience Stores Against Trafficking are those few days before the Super Bowl. You go to a community center, a church or something like that, you get some volunteers, and there's a book that's passed out. And the book has, 30, 40 pictures, biographies of kids who are in peril. And when you look at this book, it takes it from numbers, from words, and you see this person, and you see what happened. Now they're in danger. And there really is, it's an amazing emotional connection that you have in looking at these books. And then the community goes to work and brings these books to different C-stores and other places and says, have you seen this kid? We're concerned about this kid. And what's amazing to me is then everybody comes back, and it's over a 2-day period. Half of the kids are located. And it's because somebody in a store says, oh, that person comes in every day. That comes in with so-and-so. And this connection's established because there are shopkeepers in these areas that know more about the neighborhood than anybody else. It's a really emotional experience. And I know the Super Bowl this year's in Arizona, and you're doing the same thing this year where you're hitting the streets and you're going to raise awareness about the issue, and you're also going to hopefully locate kids like you do every year.
Yeah, we partner with the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children each year. We grab photos and profiles of missing children. Traffickers are going to try and exploit a missing child. If you think of what a trafficker is thinking about, it's money. It's 100% of the money. They're in control, and the easiest person to take advantage of. So any child who is in peril, who doesn't have a safe situation of living, that's a target. And when we think of who are the children of America that are being trafficked, that's one of the large populations that's targeted. And we need to be looking for those children before a trafficker goes out looking. That's kind of the why behind why we do it. If we want to prevent a child from ever being trafficked, let's look for the ones who are already in a very at-risk situation. Last year out of the 36 children, 17 were recovered within 1 week of the Super Bowl game. It's fantastic when you have the city on the ground joining us. So we're doing the same this year. If you're in Arizona in the Chandler, Phoenix Valley area, it's right on our website, inourBackyard.org. There's a slot for anyone in the area. If you're a convenience store, you can prepare your store ahead of time. That would be even better. We can have volunteers walk into a store that week, but to kind of start rallying ahead of time is amazing. And if you're not in Arizona, there's a button for you too, of course. You don't have to have the Super Bowl in your city, because that's not everyone. If you're in somewhere that's a little more cold, you can sign up your store any day, because, Super Bowl is one day a year. But we really want to equip across America 365 days a year. And our founder and president, Nita Bells, says it well. Super Bowl doesn't increase human trafficking. Sex buyers increase human trafficking. Super Bowl is a positive way to raise awareness across America. Everyone's watching the game. And if we can raise a little bit of an awareness just to save one person, it's worth it.
Let's get into how convenience stores can play a role, and really how easy it is, because as I mentioned earlier, 30,000 stores and 17 state-based associations and NACs are partnering with you to get out the word. Now, first off, going back to the Super Bowl, a couple of years ago when it was in Atlanta, the Georgia Association of Convenience Stores did an amazing job. They said that fighting human trafficking is going to be one of their focal points for the year. And they brought their executive team together. They talked about it. They had a strategy in place. A long positive story on CNN and some other outlets. It was absolutely fantastic. And talking to people afterwards, they said, look, it wasn't the media coverage, and it was what we mean to communities and how people talk to us differently after this. They realize we care. They realize we can make a difference. And it also helps with employees, where employees say, hey, I'm not just selling stuff. I mean something in the community. Can you talk about that experience?
Yeah, it really takes people that care. When we first started our outreach, we covered, by request of law enforcement, kind of the gas station territory. And what we realized was gas stations that had a convenience store connected cared to do the work. They got the message loud and clear. So we've kind of funneled that, into our Super Bowl strategy. And Georgia was just amazing. I was, there, of course, but throughout the cities I've been in, which is about 10 now, it took people that cared to continue the work that whole year. And, hands down, Angie Holland at GAX still cares. I hear from her frequently on things and what's going on. And that set on fire other people, like Haley Bauer at Clipper, running through us to partner with BP, Jack Allard and the marketers. And all of a sudden you have 1,000-something stores now signed up, because people use their space, right, well, not just to stay at leadership, but to trickle down all the way to the team members. And when we say team members, we're talking about, people that I can think of. This morning, I got an email that I knew I had to share. It was from a person who just knows in our backyard. They bring freedom stickers when they travel. And for Christmas, they do their annual, road trip down to Oklahoma. And they went into a Casey's store and talked to the staff member. And it just happened to be the staff member that dialed 911. They saw a situation and a 12-year-old was rescued, and they hugged. I mean, so if you're a store, and you think about the people you care about, which is your team, to have a volunteer walk in and say, do you know freedom stickers? And for them to say yes. And I've actually had a situation where I've been trained. Our employee database is trained the minute we're hired. It's a little video, takes 7 minutes, and I knew what to do. And a 12-year-old is now free. And to have that community moment of, wow, like we're the eyes and ears of the community, but we don't just say it, we mean it. I think that's just the power of a store like Casey's, who knows what to do. Matt Stevenson, who talks to me all the time and says, this is a part of our protocol. It takes 7 minutes to really save a life. So again, what can you do? I think you can do more than you're aware of. If you did not hear that message on this podcast, I'm not doing my job, because I can promise you, no matter how many boots are on the ground, there's just something special about being a convenience store, having a staff who's done the training. It's free. Whether you have RTO or you just need a link, we'll give it to you. Go to our website. Train your staff. The staff matters. Customer loyalty increases when they know you care about, those who are vulnerable. It's a huge deal. It's a bigger than a nonprofit message. It's a social cause. Everyone deserves to live in freedom, and community convenience stores just have that special touch. So be trained. Freedom stickers in your restrooms. If you don't have a restroom, the front door is fine, but you have to remember, a survivor is going to come through that store for many different reasons. The same reasons everyone else comes through the store, but also maybe for a moment of peace, between there's travel, right? Between who they're seeing and forced to see for a date, which, to me is rape, but whatever they're forced to do, they might come through that restroom and have a moment of silence and see that phone number, and it really makes a difference. So freedom stickers and trainings, that's as complicated as it gets. But when we hear these stories of recoveries through convenience store staff, it's something to celebrate at your monthly shout out, your quarterly meetings. But it's something to watch, because you'll start to see things grow. And really across the states, I know convenience industry is gigantic. But there's one thing we can all rally around together, and that is these recoveries and making a difference.
So you told some really emotional, personal stories that are just absolutely fantastic to say the impact this has, not just on communities, but on actual people and how it matters. And it also matters for your business, because like you were saying, Cheryl, we've done surveys and people think more of businesses that are aligned with stopping things that they don't want in their communities. The employees are aligned, both potential and existing, in believing when you care about the community. So there are real good business cases to do it beyond the, hey, I can make a difference and it's worth the time to do it. We have 30,000 stores that are involved. So for those who either aren't sure if they're involved, or if they want to be involved, what's the best way to take that next step?
You can go to our website, www.inourbackyard.org. We're always at the NACS convention. We hope to see you there next year. We partner and hang out at the Daktronics booth. They have a digital library set up for you to see. Everything's kind of right there in action. If you are in person, I've got to see this up close and personal. You can come visit us at the next NACS show. But really just come to the website. There's plenty of resources for you to see instantly, and join today. It's free.
And it makes a difference. Cheryl, thank you for joining us today. I will see you in the Daktronics booth, because every year I go say hi to the team, and I will see you throughout the year because I know you're always on the road, spreading the message and talking to state associations and others. So thank you for joining us today, Cheryl.
Thank you. Thanks for making a difference.
And thank you all for listening to Convenience Matters.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.